everyone, and welcome to the Life's a Learning Curve podcast with me, your host, Alicia. So, to start this episode, I have a question for you. Have you ever worked so hard for something and you've taken all this time and you finally get it and it isn't exactly what you thought it would be and it isn't really what you want to align with anymore? If you felt like that before, this episode is definitely for you. So today I am joined with the lovely and award-winning Alice Potter, and today we are going to be talking about how a degree or a qualification does not have to define the industry or the passions that you decide to follow. So thank you so much for Alice for being here. Would you like to give yourself a little introduction on the work you do and where you've come from?
So my name is Alice Potter and I'm an award-winning social media confidence coach. My business and passions massively pivoted over the last few years, and it's something that I'm really passionate about speaking to, especially creatives or the younger generation about, because we get so wrapped up in what we're doing at college or what we're doing at uni, and that has to be that decision that we make for the rest of our lives. And it might be, and that's absolutely fine. But also, all the decisions that we actually make can lead us in other directions, but it doesn't mean that you regret the journey that's got you there. So we obviously met at UCLan when I came in to speak to your MA,
Yeah.
and I got to share kind of my experience. And as somebody who was an alumni student, to be asked to come back to not speak to the course that I took part in, to speak to a different course about that pivot that I'd made, that felt like a real big kind of full circle moment for me, because I was really being I was respected for the fact that I was an alumni, but I was actually being really respected in the business that I've now found myself in. And that's what they wanted to hear about. They wanted the students to have that kind of inspiring talk. So that's a little bit about me. We will talk more about me obviously
Yes.
as we go on. But I'm really excited just to have a proper chat and just to share and hopefully inspire some people with my story.
Yeah, I definitely do think you will. I mean, when I first met you, I felt like I connected with your story a lot as a student who transferred from a BA Honours photography course to a fashion promotion degree. I felt very isolated in the fact that I didn't know if I'd make the right decision, and I felt a little bit abnormal to everyone else because I felt like I'd almost second guessed what I wanted to do in my life. And if anything, it's been the best decision that I have ever made because I wasn't happy where I was. And I love photography, I still do it now, but it just wasn't that passion and that drive that I had before for it when I was younger. And I think I embraced the fact that I was growing up and this is my decision. I'm paying all this money. I need to do something that has it calls to me. And I feel like what you do now 100% calls to you. I
Yeah.
mean, when I first met you, you just radiated this confidence and I felt so comfortable in your presence. And I was like, this woman is in the best career and industry that she can be in because your whole personality, like I feel like you represent your brand so much with everything you say, everything you wear, how you are, the events you go to. Like it has just been an incredible experience meeting you and watching you on social media as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so funny because I've been, regardless of when I was at U, like doing my degree,
Yeah,
all the way up to now, um, I've been on the online space throughout those 12 years.
yeah,
So people have followed my journey at complete different times. But one thing that people will always say whenever they've met me in person, if they've followed me first and watched my content and then they meet me in the person, they always say, you're exactly the same in person. And I'm like, it's supposed to be that
yeah,
way. It's exhausting to not be.
yeah,
But unfortunately, there are so many people out there that when you actually meet them, it can be really disappointing,
yeah,
or you can feel really like you've like in Scooby-Doo where they rip the mask off someone at
yeah,
the end and they're like, oh my God, who was that? Like,
yeah,
it can really feel like that at times. And I think sometimes as well, if people haven't met me before and they've just seen stuff online, someone actually said to me at a retreat that I was shooting a few months ago, she said, I love your content. I love seeing you online. She said, but it's been so nice to meet you in person and realize that that is exactly the same person and there's no act. She
yeah,
was like, not that I thought that there was, but she said, but you can never be too sure. And she said it's been so nice to just spend time with you
Oh,
and understand that it's not.
yeah,
And I think for me, like that is one of the biggest things that I want people to take away from any kind of introduction or meeting that I have with them. Like our power literally is from being ourselves.
yeah,
And it's so cheesy, but it really is like, and so many people, they'll look at what other people are doing and they want that for
mm,
themselves. But what they're doing is they're stepping further away from their own power and their own
yeah,
strength and duplicating something that is only been done well because that person did it.
yeah,
And so it's all about making sure that we kind of just take a step back sometimes and just remember who we are and what
yeah,
our values are and what makes us special, what makes us unique, and then use those things as our power.
yeah,
Um, and lead with that, because people need more unique personalities in a room. They don't need a room of beige people that all look the same and all speak the same
yeah,
and all do the same and all like the
yeah,
same things. It's nice to have that real diversification and just also I find it exciting meeting people and not knowing what to expect as well.
yeah.
It's so much fun. So yeah, thank you so much for saying such lovely
No,
things about
it's
me.
okay. Like I say, it's easy to say because, like I say, you represent your brand so well, and I think obviously as an outside perspective looking in, I probably think that a lot of your like client like coming in
Yeah.
probably come in because of how you present yourself. And do you think your kind of success in your business comes from the fact that your personality is your brand and that is what you get when you kind of first meet you?
Absolutely. I think personal brand, I mean, it's getting so popular and so important now, but
Yeah.
personal brand, it's always been a real kind of foundational thing for me in whatever I'm doing. And they say all the time, like, people buy from people, but it really is that experience that you can create from people, and the way that you can make somebody feel. So yeah, your brand, and people think all the time it's like the fonts or your logo or colors, and obviously I know I have like a lot of thinkers, but my brand is me. I
Yeah.
am a representative of myself in everything that I do. And I think that's really like a personal brand for anyone in any kind of business. It's really important to um, connect with people and to be able to nurture them, because it's just you, and it comes so much easier because it's you.
It really does. It really does. So what we're going to do, we're going to strip it back straight to the beginning.
Yeah,
So when you was at university, how long ago was it at university now? When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2017, so I
Oh my
started in
God.
2013. I know.
Wow, that's when I
I
started high school.
Oh God. So I turned 30 this year, but in my head
Wow.
I'm still 22. Like I am, and I'm not even joking. I turned 30 and I will get into it, but I do have a 7-year-old little girl,
Yeah.
and my I get ID'd everywhere.
No.
Everywhere. And me and my boyfriend went to the shop the other day. We were going to my friend's house to celebrate her birthday, and I had no makeup on because we weren't, it was like a last minute thing. Had no makeup on, literally just like comfy. And he said the words to me, Al, you're gonna have to stand outside the shop because I know we're not gonna serve you. They're not gonna
Oh
serve
my
me if I'm with you.
gosh.
And this is the problem. And most people will go, oh, I'm flattered, but it's like the majority of the time, like I don't feel like I need to carry my ID around with me everywhere because I'm
No.
30, and
Yeah.
because I've got child, I've like got 7-year-old child eye bags under my eyes and business owner eye bags as well. Like, but quite clearly, yeah, I get ID'd everywhere. So in my head, I'm 22 forever.
I
But
love
yeah,
it. I
so
love it.
so I started in 2013 because my degree was a 4-year degree. It was a
Oh,
sandwich year.
really?
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I did an extra year at uni than everybody else who
Yeah.
of my friends who started at the same time as me.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So your degree was in fashion design, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's fashion design with sandwich. That's what it was called.
Yeah, with sandwich, yeah.
With
So
sandwich.
when you decided to go to university, what was the main reason that you picked fashion design? What was the passion for that course?
So I have always been creative. I used to love sewing. My mum taught me how to sew when I was younger.
Yeah.
Even just from like we used to sit and do like little cross stitches, or like I just used to love it. So it was always a path that I wanted to go down. I loved creating stuff with my hands. And the funny thing is about fashion degrees, I can't draw. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
draw, right? And that was always something that really threw me off, because you have to draw. And
Mm,
what my lecturers understood finally in my final year was I can see a vision in my head. I need to create it, and
yeah.
that's the final opportunity that I kind of had to do that. And I kind of had to say to them multiple times, like, you're just gonna have to trust me. I did get a little bit better at drawing, and I did actually do a lot of my drawing on a graphics tablet. I felt better doing that. Now this is
Yeah.
before iPads, before like Apple Pencils and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff, which I think would have been great
Hmm.
at the time, but I didn't have that. So yeah, it was funny doing like like, even though I was really creative,
Yeah.
I loved physically like making stuff with my hands and working with fabrics and stuff like that. But when it came to like, right, want you to draw like 20 designs, I'd be like, oh God, like that would always be the thing that would let me down.
Yeah.
Um, so I did fashion when I was at high school, as like picked it as one of my options, like textiles.
Yeah.
So I did that then. Then when I went to sixth form, I did triple fashion, which was fashion design and promotion. So it classed as like a triple BTEC. So out of the 4 A levels that you could do, it was 3 of them.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I did that for 2 years, and I got distinction stars across the board. Now, one of the things about doing that at sixth form, and it really threw me off, right? When I was at high school, my predicted grades were like A stars, A's and everything.
Mm.
And then it also kind of rubs off to like when you go to, and when I finished my GCSEs, I got a B in fashion. I didn't get an A, I got a B, right? And my fashion teacher actually, she was off for like the last 7 months of year 11, and we had substitute teachers, so we didn't get the actual education that we
Mm.
were supposed to get.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed with that B, because I loved it so much, but I also knew and was aware that I didn't get the right help and support that I needed, and
Mhm.
we didn't have the right member of staff. And I understand that way more now as an adult,
Mm.
but how the hell was I supposed to,
Yeah.
excel when our teacher had gone?
Yeah.
And and then when I went to sixth form, they were like, oh no, like everything that I was doing, they were like, oh no, like you're expected to get like top grades and everything. And it made me feel there was a real kind of panic and stress about it. And I always felt like, also like when I was doing the work, I would look at it and I wasn't happy with the way that it was.
Mm.
And they would be like, oh no, you've got a distinction star. So sixth form was a really weird time for me, because it felt like whatever I put out, even if I felt like I hadn't put as much into it, they would still give me these grades.
Yeah.
And when I went to uni, I went to first year. Honestly, my grades in first year, I was absolutely ashamed. I was like, oh, like, cause you're so used to, oh, well, I do whatever I want and they give me
Mm.
this grade, like literally. And I
Yeah.
did work really hard at sixth form, and like I did do a lot of additional work and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, with the when I went and did my first year at uni, that was a breath of fresh air. And I was like, oh God, no, I'm actually gonna have to do some work here. Um, yeah, so that was really interesting, the difference between school and college, and then obviously uni. So yeah, so I started uni. We did 2 years, and my first year I actually stayed at home. So I only live in Blackpool, so I don't live too far from UCLan.
Yeah.
I commuted my first year because I just didn't feel ready to live away from home yet. But my second year I lived in. And then my third year, I stayed at home again because I got my placement year. I got my placement year in Blackpool, and I worked for a company who make all the big feathers and headpieces for like the West End
Oh,
productions,
wow.
Funny Girls, Hot Ice, all of that kind of stuff. So that was great, because when we were looking at placements for our sandwich year,
Mm.
a lot of them were like, oh, you can go to Matalan, you can sit and make like CAD drawings on a computer for the year. But
Mm.
that wasn't what I enjoyed doing. I
Yeah.
loved being physically making stuff with my hands. Like, that's what I loved. So I, at the very last minute, got this placement, and the company that I worked for had never taken a placement student on before. I just found them on Facebook on a whim and literally got in touch with them, and then they were like, "Do you want to come for a meeting on Saturday morning?" And then that was just kind of this agreed thing.
Yeah.
But working with them was incredible because I got to spend a year being really, really hands-on, really working with fabrics I'd never worked with before. And a huge element of what I did with them was all the kind of embellishment and stuff like that, which I then brought into when I did my graduate collection.
Mm-hmm.
So my when I went back for my 4th year, my graduate collection was heavily influenced from the things and the skills that I'd learned, whereas some of the girls were coming back and they'd spent a year on a computer and they'd forgotten how to sew. They'd
Yeah.
forgotten how to do like the things that they needed to do, or so actually having this big like flamboyant company that I worked for, like I used to joke about all the time, like, oh, like I've just spent the morning like rhinestoning like a thong for a man. Like I was making stuff for drag queens, I was making stuff for this, that, and the other, but it was so much fun.
Mm.
So yeah, I absolutely loved my placement year. And then when I went back, I just went back and I knew I was coming back with a skill set that people didn't have because
Yeah.
they've not had that same experience. And people didn't like that.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it was very I think final year is really difficult, especially when you get loads of girls in one space.
Yeah.
Very competitive. It
Mm.
just it just got very catty and very nasty.
Yeah.
And I think that's really difficult because it wasn't like that in the
No.
first 2 years. But with our final year of our degree, it was all about this fight of like, well, whose collection's going to go to Graduate Fashion Week, because
Mm.
not everyone's will. So
No.
whose is going to be good enough? Whose is going to be deemed good enough? Like, and it was a lot. And fortunately, I had like about 5 or 6 girls who I was really, really good friends with, and we really pulled each other through it. We would
Yeah.
sit with each other, crying at sewing machines at 2 o'clock in the morning if we needed to. But I think as well, it was difficult because I feel like there was massive divisions and cliques and stuff that were forming. But it was really nice to know I had those really secure
Yeah.
friends whilst I was going through that.
Yeah.
I think then what happened was because I was doing my collection and I was making it over 5 months,
Yeah.
because you're with people in an environment where they're picking it apart, or you're with people in an environment where they won't actually tell you what they think because there's all this, imposter syndrome and
Mm.
this person's copied this fabric or this person's done this. It was a lot of that. By the time my collection went to Graduate Fashion Week, which it did, and it was
Yeah.
incredible, it was an amazing experience. But when it went to Graduate Fashion Week and it went on runway, I was stood backstage and the models were saying like, "This is absolutely stunning," and I was like, "Oh, thank you," but I'd not realised because I'd been looking at the same thing for months, for
Mm-hmm.
20 hours a day, every single day.
Yeah.
You forget that it's about to go on a runway and no one out there has seen it before,
Yeah.
and the impact of that was just it was insane. It was crazy. And I think it hit me harder because I'd been in that environment
Yeah.
where everything was like consistently like picked apart and like, oh well,
Yeah.
maybe you should change this, or we don't like that you're doing this. And I've been back in and I've spoken to fashion design students at UCLan before, and I had said to them all, you're spending a lot of money creating this collection.
Yeah.
If you really want to do something, do not let some tutor come in and tell you that you have to change. Like they kept saying to me, you need another colour. You need another colour in your colour palette. What about a neon green? I was like, no, I'm
No.
not going to be doing that. I'm not doing that. But yeah, so that was kind of my like 4 years at uni. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a ride.
Yeah, I feel like the person like now, and from what you've just said as your time of being a student, I feel like you was quite a mature student in the fact that you recognised the areas that were your strengths, and you made sure to utilise your sandwich year
Yeah.
to really improve those. Then when you come back in your third year, you was like, right, I know what I'm doing with this. This is my speciality. I'm going to use this for this collection. And then in terms of, you know, the whole like the group divides and stuff in university, it happens.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like I've learned a lot from my university experiences. It does a lot of the time come down to maturity and the way
Yeah.
people perceive their own work and the way they perceive others.
Yeah.
And it does take a big level of just like maturity and being old enough and confident enough in yourself to be like, okay, that's fine, you've done your own thing, but don't rain on my parade because you've done a sandwich year that
Yeah.
didn't help you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think you've tackled your university years in a way that in the end, I mean, your collection after it went to Graduate Fashion Week just blew up, which was
Yeah.
incredible. And I think that's a credit to the way you did your university experience.
I will say as well, though, I do think my first and my second year, as I said, like my first year, I couldn't move to uni. I couldn't do
Yeah,
it. I was a baby. Like I couldn't. I've always been a bit of a home bird,
yeah,
and I knew I wasn't ready.
yeah,
And I think that maturity, probably kicked in when I did my sandwich year,
yeah.
because I was in a completely different environment.
Mhm.
Um, and something that I will always talk about as well is throughout being at college and university, I had to work alongside it. So it was
Mhm.
like I'd be in education Monday to Friday, and then I'd be working Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
I had no other option. And even when I was doing my final year at uni, like all the money I was making from work, it was hardly going anywhere. Like
yeah,
everything was going back into this degree.
yeah,
And I had to learn so much resilience from that. And the people that I worked with as well, like I didn't work with people that are a similar age to me. Like some of the people, when I was on my placement year, these people that I worked with were in like their late 40s, 50s, every single person. And being in an environment and learning from that, I think you do kind of mature in certain ways, because
yeah,
you learn how to work with people that you've never, the types of people you've never worked with before. And I think that's something that's always put me in good stead as well. Like I've always been someone that's managed to get on with anybody regardless of like age differences. Even
Mhm.
now in business, I'm 30 and I'm seen as quite a very young person in business.
Yeah,
Um, but some of like my closest friends are like 10, 20, 30 years older than me. And I don't see age. I just
no,
see like, what have we got in common? Like,
yeah,
talk to me about this. Like, and I
yeah,
think it's a really important quality to have. But I do feel like I have got more mature
mm,
um over time,
yeah.
definitely.
It does take time, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like you say, if it's coming from your sandwich year, which you know, being in that experience in that industry, it will have
Yeah,
definitely come from that. You've been
yeah,
hands on, and you've used these skills for your final collection, which is incredible.
yeah.
So after you did Graduate Fashion Week, which was incredible, what happened after that?
Throughout doing my graduate collection, I was writing my blog and posting
Mhm.
blog stuff and bits and bobs like that. So I was sharing that through my blog, and then also through creating my graduate collection, I was also posting all of my updates and everything through my Instagram. That was mainly because like I hardly saw my friends and family for like 5 months. So they'd be like, well, she must be alive because she's just made us leave. Like it was
Yeah.
literally that. So that was just kind of my thing, so people knew like what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I shared that entire process and I loved it, and I really found that comfort in it. So when I went to Graduate Fashion Week, there were loads of people there that had also been sharing their process, and we got to meet, and that was really lovely. um so my collection goes on runway, and then it was chosen as they choose like a top five, so it was one of the top five of our uni. So that was amazing. And then the social media just went absolutely crazy. It was insane. There was just hundreds of followers and comments and messages and this, that, and the other. And anyway, I got a message from a lady called Rebecca Roy, and she said, "Oh, I'm one of the judges. I'm one of the judges from Graduate Fashion Week." She said, how long are you in London for? I've got a shoot tomorrow at Tony and Guy, and this was the day that I was supposed to be leaving London.
Yeah.
Um, and it had been like a really strange few days. Like there's been so much happening, like a proper emotional roller coaster. And I was like ringing my mum, and I was like, what do I do? And I stayed in London an extra night, and God bless my mum, she actually got on the train, paid
Oh.
for us a hotel. She got on the train and stayed with me in London for overnight,
Yes.
just so, and then got the train home with me the next day. So that was so lovely.
Yeah.
And she did that just so I had that experience, which is just, I mean, I could have done it myself, but also at the same time, like there was so much going on, and I was like, what the hell has just happened over the last few days? So that was really lovely.
Yeah.
And I went to Tony and Guy HQ in London, and they have like a full photography studio upstairs where they do all the studio shoots and all that. So we'll go upstairs. They've got like a full creative team up there. I've never been on a shoot like that before in my life. And she was like, okay, so my collection was there. And it was going on models and stuff like that. And I was working there with her for the day, and I was helping assist her with the models backstage. And we just got chatting, and she was just like, oh, she's like, do you know who I do styling for? And I was like, oh, who do you do styling for? She was like, oh, Kate Nash, the singer. And I was like, oh my God, amazing. Like I proper used to like fangirl Kate Nash when I was a teenager. And she was like, yeah, she was like, she would absolutely love your collection. She was like, she would wear it. She would wear it. She was like, can you send me some pictures of your collection? Because I'm going to send it to Kate. So I was like, okay. And so still like in this weird fever dream of what the hell was going on. So I said goodbye to Rebecca. I sent her the pictures from the catwalking.com website where everything had been put up. And then I just went on the train back to Blackpool, and it literally felt like I'd just gone back to Blackpool, and that was it. Then it was like that was like the season finale of my life, and then that was it. Then they'd like cancelled my show forever, and that was my little thing. And I just went back to normal life, like literally for a couple of weeks, just went back to normal life. And then it was actually the day of our UClan show.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's a couple of weeks after. So the UClan, obviously, we do a show here in Preston as well. And it was the day of our UClan show. So we were practicing with the models and everything like that. And I'm literally, and again, it was so mad because I was at UClan when this was happening. I just got a notification on my phone, and it was like, Kate Nash wants to send you a message on Instagram. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? So I opened the message, and she was like, oh, Rebecca, show me your stuff. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I just responded, and I was like, thank you so much. Like, I'm such a massive fan. Like, I'm so glad that you like it. And that was it. And then 3 days later, Rebecca just sent me a text saying, Kate's going on her Made of Bricks tour. We need your dress by Saturday. This is the dress we want. We need it by Saturday. Can you get it to us? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I sent this dress in this box that cost like £2,000 to make with all the crystals and everything on it. I sent it in this box, and also like we didn't even do a contract. I didn't get any money, no exchange, because I'd not even thought, and we didn't get prepped for any of that because it's never happened before.
Yeah.
And they were just like, get the dress, send it to us. So I did. And then they were like, right, what night do you want to come to a tour? She's touring here, 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 and here. What night do you want to come? We'll put you on the guest list. You can come. So I was like, okay. So I was like, oh, Manchester, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I sent it off, and then a tour started, and I didn't really tell anyone that I'd sent it off because I was like, well, she might not wear it. So the tour started, and she did 2 tour dates, and she didn't wear the dress for these 2 tour dates. And the 3rd tour date was Manchester. And I didn't go. I was like, no, I'm not going, because I'll be so embarrassed if I go and she doesn't wear it, and I'll feel like really embarrassed. Anyway, so it was just a normal, I'd completely blocked it out. I'd not even thought about it. I'd not even checked, because my imposter syndrome had literally said to me, and I understand it as well because of because of the way that things had been at uni, and then because of the big high from being at Graduate Fashion Week,
Yeah.
and then it kind of coming right back down to earth, I get why I felt that way. I just felt like I'd kind of looked out with like exciting things happening with it already, like it was done. Because nothing else was happening with anybody else's collections at this point. So I thought, all right, okay. And anyway, I went to work like normal that day, and then I went home and I went to bed and didn't think anything of it. And I woke up the next morning to like hundreds of Instagram notifications. And not only had she worn the dress, but she'd tagged me in her stories, in her posts. And it's really frustrating because I could have met her if I was there on the night and got pictures of her with me in the dress, all of this stuff. And I will always say that is literally one of the biggest regrets I've ever had of my entire life. And you know, yesterday, it was 8 years ago since she did that.
Wow.
It came up on my Facebook memories yesterday. Well, actually, no, it will have been 2 days ago because I posted it the morning after. But yeah, so 8 years and 2 days ago, whilst we're having this conversation, that's when it happened. And I still will say that is the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. Not pushing away my, these feelings, which are very valid feelings to have, but to actually go, no, I've been invited, I've got a ticket, she's got my dress backstage, and go. So, and then what she did is she continued to wear that dress for every single date of the rest of the tour. She did photo shoots in the dress. She took it on Brighton Beach. She did a photo shoot in it. It was in the Guardian newspaper, online. It was everywhere. And then whilst she was away on this tour, I didn't even know, but she had a film crew with her, and they were filming for this documentary film that she was making. And that summer, they played the summer of 2018, they played this documentary film at all of the American film festivals all over America. And then it got brought onto BBC iPlayer. So thousands and thousands and thousands of people have seen this dress. This dress was it's on the like trailer for the thing. It's in the thing, like it's just there. So yeah, it was just mental. And what happened from every time she wore it and she posted it, there was just this influx of people saying, I've got this show, we want this dress, we want this look of your collection, can you send us your collection, can we do this, we've got this. It was just like this. It just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled, and kicked off 8 years of this collection going all over the world. It's been requested for the Brits red carpet. It didn't get worn, but it was still on the rail of clothes that she wanted to try on. It's been in photo shoots, hair shows, music videos. It's been everywhere. It's been to Italy, it's been to France, it's been to Germany.
That's incredible.
And it's just, and who couldn't draw?
The
she did okay.
The
possibilities.
Endless.
But the biggest thing that I took from that entire process, that entire 4 years at uni, and all the things that I learned and what I created and how proud I was of my collection, the biggest thing that I realised over that time was, oh my God, isn't it incredible how when we put our stuff online and the right people see it, that the opportunities that can come for us.
Yeah.
And that was my real passion at that point, to be like, this social media stuff's not going anywhere. No. There's going to be more of this in the future. I can sense it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you think that whole kind of chaos of social media, blowing up this incredible collection, do you think that then helped navigate you to your business now? Because I know in between, did you work for the NHS in between that? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah. So I, obviously, as I said, when I started uni, I started writing my blog. So I was 18 when I started.
Yeah.
And at the time, I loved creating content just for myself. Now, this was before TikTok. And this was before and this was before like real like videos, or we didn't have Instagram Reels or anything. When they first launched video on Instagram, it was called Instagram TV. God, I sound like an old woman.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was called Instagram TV, right? And I used to create content there for brands and stuff like that. And it was like a big thing. Like, people didn't post much video on Instagram at all. Like, they were only just starting really when we were doing our graduate fashion week collections. So I started working with brands. I do like brand collaborations and stuff like that. And then obviously when I was doing my collection, I was writing and creating content around that. I also used to do, like, whenever it was the seasonal, like the fashion, like the Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, I used to do like blog post where I'd broke down like my favorite looks from the runway. I used to do that. So I kind of like merged like my love for kind of like beauty and fashion and like creativity in what I was doing the whole time I was at uni, really.
Yeah.
And then we graduated in the July,
Mhm.
and in the October I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, which was not planned. I'd actually had like a lot of fertility issues whilst I was in my final year of uni, and because I was under 25, there were so many rules around, like they wouldn't let me have proper like smear tests and things like that, things that I
Wow.
needed. They were very strict around that, like from like 19 to 22. No, like 17 to 22, I was back and forth at the doctors all the time with with gynae issues and like irregular bleeding and lots of pain, all of these types of things. And they wouldn't push anything anywhere further forward, because they just kept saying, well, you've got to wait till you're 25 for a smear test. It used to be, it's a lot better now than it was, but there's still so much work to do, Jesus, in that whole realm. But they finally took me seriously when I was 21, because I'd been coming for like 4 years, and they said I needed to have surgery basically for me to be able to have children. But at this time I'm 21, I'm doing my final year of my degree. I'm like, look, I'm not like, this is my priority right now. I'm not thinking about having children, all this kind of stuff. So we postponed this surgery. So in the so graduated in July, and in the October I was supposed to be having the surgery.
Oh,
And a
wow.
week before the surgery, I got on a train to Manchester, and I was with 3 of my best friends, and we were having a night in at one of my best friend's flats in Manchester. And I went into Sainsbury's and I got a bottle of wine and the cheapest pregnancy test you can find, because I just had this, like, I mean, any girl will know, like, sometimes you just have this feeling like, oh, I need to do a pregnancy test. It's not going to be positive, but I just need to do one, like, to rule it out. Because I knew it was at this point as well, like, I was like, I'm not pregnant, like, I'm not pregnant, but I'm just going to rule it out anyway. So we kind of like all had a giggle about it in the Uber, like it wasn't anything. And as soon as I went into her house, I was like, right, I'm going to this pregnancy test, like laughing, joking about it. So I had left like the box and everything in her living room. So I go to wee on this pregnancy test, and then it's got 2 lines on it. So it wasn't one that said like pregnant, not pregnant. It had 2 lines. But I'd not done a pregnancy test, like I'd not done one like that before. So I walk into the living room with this thing with like, and I was like, it's got 2 lines. What does it mean? And Stace, one of my best friends to this day, she had the instructions and she was like, ah, that means you're pregnant. And we all lost our damn minds, because we were like, no, it can't be true. It can't be true. What the hell is going on? And she lived near a big Sainsbury's, right? And the girls were like, we'll all chip in for a clear blue. We'll all chip in. And I was like, I'm 22 years old. Like, we're fat. Like, I'm fine, girls. I can buy my own, you know. But I was like, I'd not thought, I'm not going to spend like £17 on a clear blue. I literally got a £1 pregnancy test from Sainsbury's, thinking nothing of it, thinking, oh, I'm going to have a drink and a takeaway with my friends tonight. Anyway, it did not end up like that. We were in big Sainsbury's. I'm buying the clear blue. They're buying more alcohol than they can carry, because they were so overwhelmed in shock. My daughter's dad was back at home on a night out, so I couldn't even call him, because I was like, oh God, like, what am I going to do? Like, and it was, that was I'll always look back on it now. Like, I'm so glad, like, two of the girls that were there are like 2 of my very, very best friends, and one of them is my daughter's godmother. So like, looking back on it, to have been with them girls, to find out, and they were like my friends from being like 13 years old, and now I'm 30, and they've just been to Disneyland with me for my 30th birthday this year. So you know what I mean? So to have been with them too, to find out, was just incredible. before. But yeah, that was really scary. It was a really scary experience. But whilst I was pregnant, because I'd not had this surgery, I had loads of gynae issues throughout my pregnancy. So what actually happened is I bled a lot when I was pregnant. And obviously, if you're a pregnant woman and you're bleeding, everything points to miscarriage. Everything online, everything just says you losing your baby. And what I did is I realized there was nothing out there for people that actually the pregnancy actually went all the way to the end. And obviously, I've got a little girl. So I wrote two blog posts with first part and a second part. So my first part was my first and second trimester.
Yeah.
And then my second part was my third trimester, and then obviously like my birth story and what had happened after that. And I had a humongous amount of women reach out to me who were sat there in the middle of the night with the same gynae issue that I had, pregnant, but everything else online was pointing to miscarriage, and my blog post was the only thing that was there that was giving them any kind of reassurance. So things like that, that was really powerful and to share, and it took a lot to share that because it's like, you know, quite personal to share. But so I had my blog, so beauty, found out I was pregnant with Eve. That was a whole process. But I knew I was going to be off on maternity leave, so I just went full whack. I was like, right, I'm going to start doing more brand collaborations. I'm going to start doing more blog posts. I'm going to start doing this.
Yeah.
And then I was off on maternity leave with her and doing lots of kind of family content and all that kind of stuff. And for a while, like, I really enjoyed doing that. I got into some weird, like, mummy influencer gang. It was strange. I met some really lovely friends. Some people I'm still good friends with. Some people absolutely I'm not. There's a block button for a reason. But yeah, so I did that up until about 2022.
Yeah.
And my life changed quite a lot over that time. I separated from my daughter's dad. I became a single mom. And my personal brand all the time, like, I took everyone through that journey with me on my Instagram. I became a single mom just before COVID. And that's when I started working in the NHS, because obviously I had needed a job to sustain being a single parent. So I've always had that juggle of not having the luxury of like having a child and being able to stay at home with them till they go to school. And to be fair, most people don't nowadays. But you know, I went back to work when Evangeline was 7 months old. I had no other choice. So I did lockdown with a baby, an 18-month-old that just learned how to walk, and I was going through a breakup and a 10-year relationship breakup. So you can imagine it was difficult.
Oh my gosh.
And I was working from home for the NHS, so I had 10 weeks on my own with no one, just me and a baby. And I was, as I've said, like, I was a little bit of a homebird. I loved being around people. So for me, that was huge, because I didn't get to be around people. But again, I think that part of my life massively made me like an older, maturer head on my shoulders, because I had to just navigate through it. So I was in the NHS, and then my daughter started school in 2022. She started school, and I knew that I wanted to start my own business, but I knew, because of my circumstances as a single parent, there was no way I could even try until she'd started school, because at least, like, school, you don't have to pay for them to go, whereas nursery you did. But you know, like, you've got that green light of like, okay, well, Monday to Friday, like 9 till 3, they're somewhere. So they're somewhere, and that can potentially be my time to like launch a business. So I launched AJP Social Studio on the 1st of September 2023. We're about to turn 2 in a couple of weeks. And I've just literally like not looked back. It's been really difficult juggling it as a mum. But I absolutely love that, like, I'm sat here now in my pink office, right? This is the front room of my house. My daughter calls it the pink room.
Oh,
Like I love the fact that I work really hard and she knows that I work really hard, and she
yeah.
knows all the good stuff that she gets is because I've worked hard for it. And
Mhm.
that for me, and also knowing that like I've worked hard for it and I'm the boss, so I get the benefits of everything.
Yeah.
She says sometimes she's like, like her and my partner Joe, they say to me a lot that she goes, "Mummy, why don't you just fire yourself so you can have the day off?" But yeah, so she says that quite a bit if I'm in the middle of doing something. But yeah, so it's been like a real journey, like 10 years in social media with all that experience before I launched my business.
Yeah.
But I don't think if I hadn't have had those 10 years and the way that I had to navigate my life and certain things that came up, and a big mountains to climb, and
Yeah.
figuring out who I was and what I wanted from life, I wouldn't have been ready. And I don't think if I'd have launched the business maybe 2 or 3 years beforehand, I don't think it would still be here.
Yeah.
Um, so it's all about divine timing, and
Yeah.
I love,
100%.
yeah, I absolutely love. Now I'm almost 2 years in, because the first year of business is so scary, like so scary. But now I'm almost 2 years in, like I love how it's really that foundational thing that I've built, and I've got this reputation now, and it's a
Yeah.
really good reputation as well.
Oh yeah, it 100% is. I mean, it feels like listening to your story that there's always been little small elements that have built up to your career now, doing, a bit of blog posts at university and then doing it whilst you're on maternity leave to eventually launching this business. It's always been a part of your life until it's been that defined timing
Yeah,
to launch, which I
yeah,
love. I love like signs and things like that. That manifestation
yeah,
is a big thing for me.
yeah,
So it's just incredible hearing those little elements from your story
yeah,
to where you are now. It's really inspiring, and I do think a lot of people will probably recognize that in their own lives. If they've
yeah,
got that little niggle in the back of the head that something that's really interesting to them and they want to give it a try, and they carry on doing it and carry on doing it, it can evolve into something that is your business, is your income, and that you're
yeah.
building yourself a legacy and a reputation, for your daughter as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, like as much as I do it for her, like I do it for me,
Yeah,
because it's just mine.
yeah,
Like it's just mine. It's all come from my brain,
yeah.
literally, all of it. Every single part of it. And like my partner, he lives with me. He's been with me for we've been together for almost 3 years.
Yeah,
He couldn't tell you about my business, not really. My
yeah,
mum, when I went to when I won the award for my business last September, we were sat at the award ceremony. She was sat there on the table with some of my like business friends and colleagues, and she was like, "I know we're here and Alice has won an award." She's like, "But I couldn't tell you what she actually does." And I really like the fact that it is just mine, and
yeah,
people don't have to understand it, but
no,
knowing that I did it all on my own, and that's
yeah.
really rewarding for myself, and it's not just for other people, it's for me, and that's what I deserve after all that work.
100%. And obviously, with winning your award, which is an incredible achievement, it was in your first year of business, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Um,
so
do you
yeah.
feel like within that, obviously, you're heading for 2 years now, you won this award. Obviously, you will have had ups and downs within business. What has been the biggest kind of challenge that you've had to learn and overcome?
Well, boundaries is a huge one.
Yeah.
I am a professional people pleaser.
Okay.
I really struggle in situations, and do you know what? I will quite happily say this, like I'm one of these people, I want everyone to like me, and if someone
Hmm.
doesn't like me but doesn't give me a good enough reason, like it will really annoy me.
Yeah.
Um so and I think from past situations that I've been in, where I've been somebody that's always tried to um tried to impress people or like make them
Yeah.
want to like me.
Yeah.
um so when you first start out in a business, and this is a mistake that I see so many people make, and I did it, I absolutely did. You launch a business and you charge like pence for everything. You're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, but it's gonna cost like nothing.
Yeah.
And when you work out like how many hours and stuff it's gonna take, and the
Hmm.
time and all of
Yeah.
this stuff, you're not actually making any money. And it's really scary because people used to say to me all the time, like, your prices are far too low. And actually, what I realized was when your prices are far too low, it actually puts people off as well, because they think if it costs that much, it can't be that good.
Yeah.
Now, this is different if you are starting a business and you've not done something before. So I had a meeting with somebody a few weeks ago, and they're starting a business, but they're starting a business in something that they've not actually, they know that they can do it. They don't have a lot of experience in doing it, and they've not got any proof that they've already done it. So when I started off in my business, when I started Social Studio from 1st of September to the end of that year, I did loads of work with people for free, even though I'd already built, had 10 years of learning, and I had all this education and knowledge and things that I could share. I was like, I really want to do I met some incredible people, and I wanted to do some creative projects with them, and I wanted to do stuff to build up that proof of, like, these are the people that I'm working with, this is something that I've done, here's proof of what I've done. So I think it's really important, you've got to be able to practice what you're preaching at the start, but only for a certain point. And it wasn't, I feel like a pinnacle moment really for me in my business was, so September to December, first 4 months, didn't take any money in the business, took no money. And in the January, that's when I launched some paid services. And in the March, I met my business coach and mentor. Now, I didn't think at that point that I was ready to, like, invest in somebody. And, I've not even been in business a year, but it was the best thing I could have ever done. So my business mentor, Kerry, like, we've got such an incredible relationship. I've been with her now for over a year. And what she has done for me in building my resilience, building my boundaries, building, like, because I've always been, confident in myself, but confident in pricing yourself, and confident in being able to sit on a call with somebody and go, yeah, it's £1,500, and to be able to comfortably, like, say it out your mouth. I remember the first time I put a masterclass on and I charged £30 per ticket, and I was sat there thinking, no one's going to pay £30. Like, no one will pay £30. And 25 people paid £30, and I cried in bed the night before because I couldn't believe. And when I was looking at the people that were coming, a lot of the names I didn't recognise. There were people that had just been watching my content. Whereas, like, I did a launch in June. And in one day, I made more money than I used to make for my monthly wage on the NHS.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that someone would part with that much money, and just trust me to give me the money. Even now, even when you overcome stuff, like, everything's a new milestone. And I remember someone, Danny Wallace, she's like a public speaking coach, she's amazing. I had a meeting with her quite early on in my business, because she teaches people how to do public speaking. She's amazing. I went on a call with her and she was like, yeah, okay, so it's just £6,000. And she said it so confidently, £6,000. And my stomach just dropped. I thought, I've not got £6,000. I've not got £6,000. And she could see my face change, right? And she said to me, she was like, if you'd have said this to me 5 years ago, I'd have been exactly the same. She said, if you'd have said £6,000 to me, she said, my outgoings for my business currently are 40 grand a month.
Wow.
She's got a team of people, all this stuff she was telling me, and she was like, we'll work together when it's the right time to work together. And she said to me, the more money that you make, the more money you have to spend. So just remember that, like, when you see people making lots of money, they've probably got a lot of outgoings and people that they have to pay and all this kind of stuff. So that really stuck with me when it came to money and the way that I think about it. And even now, I'll have conversations with people, and some people will go, oh, that's too cheap. Or some people will go, oh, I can't afford that. So it's always been a bit of a difficult one when it comes to pricing yourself. But the more you can do to showcase on social media people that you've worked with, results that you've got for them, what the transformation looked like, all of that kind of stuff, it backs you up in order to be able to justify what you charge. So yeah, boundaries has been a big one, especially around pricing, and especially around like people taking the piss as well.
Yeah.
There are some nasty people in business, and people that at the beginning when you meet them, they're like, oh, I want to give you like, I've got such an amazing community of people, they all need your help, blah 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 blah, but you need to work with me for free. I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to pay you. And actually, they just take people for a ride. Yeah, and I've had those experiences, but they have meant I've met incredible other people and I've made friends and all of this stuff. But it frustrates me now. I have so in January this year, I took on an intern, and she is just, she has been the best addition to my team. And I was like, I want to take somebody on. I want someone to learn with me and work with me. She only works with me 1 day a week. I want someone to learn me and work with me. And you know, that's what I want, and I'm going to pay them. And I'm going to make that, you know, I'm going to make sure that they always get paid. And when Tegan started with me, and I was discussing when she gets paid, she couldn't believe the fact that I was going to pay her because it was an internship. I put freelance intern, this many hours a week, but I just said to her, I was like, I would never ever have anyone do anything for me and not pay them, even though I'm not saying I'm making, you know, 10k a month, you see it all the time, all this stuff. But if you're going to work with me, I am going to give you the utmost respect and say, no, like, you work with me, you do the hours, you will be paid for those hours. Because I know what it's like to be earlier on in business or younger in the industry and to have people take the absolute piss, like, and it's just not the way that I want to run my business. So yeah, boundaries, big one.
Good stuff. So, you know, you have been, just to kind of finalize this podcast episode, you've been on such an incredible journey in the industry and your career. If there was students in the position that you was in, where you graduating from a degree and, you know, it's gone viral, this, that and the other, but you're kind of naturally gravitating towards something else, what would you tell them? What is your piece of advice to them if they're feeling unsure whether they should take the leap, whether they should move away from what they might have known for so long because they've got this passion for something else?
I think it's really easy for us to just go, oh, it's fine, just go. But it's really important to remember sometimes you might be in a position where you need certain things for security. So like me, I had to work in the NHS for a bit. That wasn't a job I wanted to do. That wasn't glam. I wouldn't like that, right? But it's all about, if you've got something and you know deep down that's something that you want to pursue, even just doing something every day to move the needle towards it, whether it's half an hour every night learning something new, whether it's, you know, building something slowly, because all businesses start at zero. So we all start £0, 0 clients, 0 followers, no one knows who we are. And it's a really important thing to remember as well, like when we look at people online and how other people are doing, we all started somewhere. We all started with nothing and grew from that too. And I think the most important thing is to have really good people around you, people that you can have those conversations with. You need people in your life that you go to with a creative idea and they go, oh my God, how are we going to make this happen? Not people that are going to go, oh no, I think that's a bit silly. So you need to find, you might only have a handful of those types of people in your life, and whether you find them from people that you went to uni with or from friends you've already got, or whether you find them online in online spaces, those people are gold, because that they will cheerlead you as hard as you could ever cheerlead yourself. And having the right people around you is really, really important.
Preach. I love that. You need a good community around you. It's the people who are going to build you up, and they're going to be there to help you if you fall down and encourage you. You'd like your cheerleaders, and it's important. Okay, so a question that I like to end on, to summarize the podcast, is, I think you might have kind of touched on this, but if you've got any kind of other ideas around it,
Yeah.
what has been your biggest learning curve in life so far?
Oh, I'd say probably my biggest learning curve was becoming a single parent,
Okay.
because in my life that was not the plan. That
Yeah.
was never the plan.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like, and I was 24 when that happened, and I feel
Mhm.
like at that point it felt like my life had ended,
Yeah.
because everything that I could see and envision for my future
Yeah.
had gone.
Mm.
Um, and that's a really scary place to be.
Yeah.
Um, and there were two options really. Do we sit in this sadness, or
Mhm.
do we pick ourselves up and figure out who the fuck we want to be? And
Yeah.
believe me, I sat in the sadness for a while, because you have to
Yeah.
feel all the feels.
Yeah.
You know, it was a huge grieving process, but also I grieved a lot of the person that I was, or who I thought I was.
Yeah.
Um, and all that has been one of the biggest pivotal changes in my life. But I think it's brought nothing but goodness for me. I mean, I'm very, very, very fortunate. My daughter is so unconditionally loved and looked after and cared for. Um, and a lot of that is because I did the work. And when you've got somebody who is looking at you every day, you
Yeah.
kind of have to do the work in order for, you've got to do it for them. But I also did
Yeah.
that work for myself. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I think rock bottom is the opportunity to start fresh, and we get to choose whether something big and traumatic happens like that, and
Yeah.
overnight your life changes, or you wake up one morning and you go, do you know what, I don't want to be doing life the way that I'm doing it right now, I want to make some
Yeah.
changes. We have the permission, and we get the opportunity to do that whenever we want.
Yeah.
um so that's a massive takeaway, that I would say, you're in control of your life. If you're in a bad relationship, leave it.
Yeah.
If you're in a shitty job and can do something better,
Yeah.
go away. If you've got friends that aren't actually your friends, that make you feel bad about yourself, get some new friends. Like,
Mm.
literally, because you've got one life and you can't live your life miserable. You've got to always be pushing for better, and to live in joy and comfort and abundance, and all the things, all the beautiful things that you've created for yourself.
Yeah. Well, that is a beautiful way to end
Mm.
today's episode. Thank you so, so much for coming
You're
on and
welcome.
being a guest. I'm so excited to have built this relationship with you and for everyone to hear your incredible story. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for
No
having
worries.
me.
That's all right. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, please do give us some likes on YouTube and on Spotify. Make sure to visit the website at Life's a Learning Curve. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.